Opening. The opening is the first phase of the game where players develop pieces, control the center, safeguard the king, often by castling, and prepare for the middle game. Good openings create strong positions and long-term strategic opportunities. Control the center. Controlling central squares, e4, d4, e5, d5, gives your pieces maximum mobility, restricts your opponent's plans, and creates attacking and defensive flexibility throughout the game. Develop quickly. Bring minor pieces off the back rank efficiently so they influence the center early, support castling, and prepare coordinated middle game plans before your opponent gains tempo or space. Castle before move 10. Castling early safeguards your king, connects your rooks, and prevents dangerous central attacks while the position is still open and tactics can arise suddenly. No queen too early. Early queen moves invite attacks from minor pieces, waste tempi, and slow development, often leaving you behind in activity and vulnerable to initiative-based tactics. Don't move the same piece twice in the opening. Repeatedly moving one piece wastes tempo, delays development of others, and allows your opponent to seize space, develop faster, and build central dominance. Knights before bishops. Knights have limited squares and benefit from early development, while bishops need pawn decisions to define their best diagonals and should often wait briefly. Knights on the rim are grim. In chess, the center is downtown. The rim? That's the countryside with weak Wi-Fi. Knights placed on edge files have fewer active squares, limited influence on the center, and often struggle to participate effectively in attacks or defense. And remember, a knight in the center is a superhero. A knight on the rim is just unemployed. Capture toward the center with pawns. Pawn captures toward the center increase central control, open lines for pieces, and avoid creating passive pawn structures that restrict mobility and long-term plans. Avoid moving pawns in front of a castled king. Advancing pawns around your castled king weakens critical squares, opens files and diagonals, and creates long-term targets that attackers can exploit in the middle game. Don't open the center if your king is still there. Opening central files while your king remains uncastled exposes it to checks, tactics, and direct attacks, often allowing your opponent to seize the initiative immediately. Avoid double pawns. Doubled pawns cannot defend each other, restrict piece mobility, create weak squares, and often become permanent in-game targets unless compensated by activity or open files. Avoid isolated pawns. Isolated pawns lack pawn support, require constant piece defense, weaken surrounding squares, and can become strategic liabilities, especially in simplified or in-game positions. Be cautious of backward pawns. Backward pawns are hard to advance safely, sit on open files, restrict piece coordination, and often become fixed weaknesses that opponents can attack relentlessly. Know when to ignore principles. Principles guide beginners, yes. Develop pieces, control the center, castle early. Great advice. But if your opponent blunders a knight and you refuse to take advantage on it because you haven't finished your development, that's not discipline. That's charity work. Concrete calculation overrides general rules when initiative, material gain, or king's safety is on the line. Sometimes breaking a principle is the principled thing to do. Middle game. The middle game is the phase after the opening where development is mostly complete and players execute plans through tactics, attacks, and strategic maneuvering. It often features complex positions, piece coordination, king's safety concerns, and decisive battles. Don't play hope chess. Never rely on your opponent missing threats. Always calculate forcing responses, checks, captures, and threats, and assume your opponent will find the strongest defensive and tactical replies. When you see a good move, look for a better move. After finding a playable move, search for stronger alternatives involving tactics, improved piece activity, or greater pressure, ensuring you choose the most accurate continuation. Connect your rooks. Remove pieces between your rooks to allow mutual defense, central control, faster piece coordination, and the ability to double or swing rooks into active files. Bishops open, knights close. Bishops thrive in open positions with long diagonals, while knights excel in closed structures where central outposts and blocked pawn chains limit bishop mobility. Place rooks on open files. Rooks are most effective on files without pawns, where they apply pressure, penetrate enemy territory, support pawn advances, and create tactical threats along ranks. Doubled rooks on open files are powerful. Doubling rooks on open files maximizes pressure, reinforces penetration squares, overloads defenders, and often forces concessions or material gains from the opponent. Rooks are strong on the 7th or 2nd rank. Rooks on the opponent's 2nd or 7th rank attack pawns, restrict king movement, cut coordination, and frequently create decisive tactical and positional threats. Attack the base of the pawn chain. Target the pawn at the rear of a pawn chain, since its capture collapses the entire structure, opening lines and creating multiple weaknesses simultaneously. Deal with an attack on the flank by attacking the center. Counter flank attacks by striking the center, where actions are fastest and most decisive, often forcing your opponent to abandon or weaken their attacking plans. Knights are the best blockaders of pawns. Knights effectively stop passed pawns by occupying forward squares, cannot be chased by pawns easily, and maintain defensive and attacking flexibility. Opposite-colored bishops are dangerous in the middle game. Opposite-colored bishops increase attacking chances because defenders cannot cover the same color squares, making king attacks and sacrifices more potent. Defensively, it's awkward. If your king is under attack on dark squares and your bishop only controls light squares, congratulations. You've brought the wrong tool to the emergency. It's like trying to fix Wi-Fi with a hammer. If the position is cramped, trade pieces. Exchanging pieces in cramped positions relieves space pressure, frees movement, reduces tactical threats, and improves coordination for the side suffering from lack of space. Don't trade bishops for knights. Bishops often retain long-term value, especially in open positions, while knights can be restricted. Avoid unnecessary exchanges unless positional or tactical benefits are clear. Two minor pieces are better than a rook and a pawn. Two coordinated minor pieces often outperform a rook and pawn due to superior flexibility, defensive coverage, and ability to create multiple threats simultaneously. Three minor pieces are better than a queen. Three minor pieces provide greater coordination, control more squares, resist tactics, and often overwhelm a queen when working together in balanced or closed positions. Always play en passant when given the chance. En passant is not just a move, it's a way of life. In this game, Bobby faced with an important decision.
Wait, do I checkmate or do I upsong?
Should he checkmate his opponent or play en passant? Being an absolute genius, Bobby decided to play the en passant.
I'll upsong. I'm gonna checkmate him on the next move anyway, so it's all good.
And just like that, he sacrificed the king. Endgame. The endgame is the final phase of chess when few pieces remain and kings become active participants. Strategy focuses on pawn promotion, precise calculation, and king activity. Small advantages often decide the outcome due to simplified positions. The endgame king is valuable. In the endgame, the king becomes an active fighting piece, centralizing to support pawn advances, defend weaknesses, escort past pawns, and influence key squares. When ahead, trade pieces but not pawns. Exchanging pieces reduces counterplay and simplifies winning positions, while keeping pawns preserves winning chances by creating passed pawns and clear promotion threats. When behind, trade pawns but not pieces. Trading pawns reduces your opponent's promotion chances, while keeping pieces maintains tactical resources, activity, and potential counterplay to save or reverse the game. Rooks should go behind passed pawns. Rooks belong behind passed pawns, whether attacking or supporting them, allowing maximum mobility, checking distance, and effective control of promotion squares. Opposite-colored bishops are often drawn in the endgame. Earlier, they were fireworks. Now they're peace treaties. With bishops on opposite colors, each side controls squares the other can't touch, like arguing in two different languages. In the endgame, this creates surprising defensive resources. Even if one side is down material, the defender can often blockade pawns on squares the enemy bishop doesn't control. Opposite-colored bishops limit mutual control of squares, allowing defenders to blockade pawns effectively, making many materially inferior positions surprisingly drawable with accurate play. Two connected pawns on the 6th rank beat a rook. Connected pawns on the 6th rank restrict the rook, threaten promotion simultaneously, and often overpower it unless the opposing king or rook is ideally placed. No endgame basics. Learning endgame basics gives you free yellow, literally, because small knowledge boosts win rates fast. Knowing key positions like king and pawn endings, opposition, and basic checkmates turns many draws into wins. Most players ignore endgames, so mastering simple ones gives you a huge edge without studying complex openings or tactics. For example, in this position, if you don't know how to deliver checkmate with a rook against a lone king, it will force you to lose 8 yellow points. Another example, if you don't know how to turn this pawn into a queen, this will also force you to lose points.